Thomas is a 20-month-old little boy. He has come with his family today from Switzerland to complete a 3-week CIMT programme.
He's a very sunny-natured child, developing. I think we're starting the terrible twos already, either that or he's going to be quite strong-willed, which I don't think probably is a bad thing for him. He goes to full-time creche, and I think also that interaction and so on has really helped him as well, because he sees the other children all day, every day, and he also had his older brother that he sees all the time. So he's continually surrounded by noise and people, and so is continuing to develop.
Oh! Crash!
We're very much at the beginning of the journey, I think, really. I mean, we took him on holiday recently and they had him swimming and sailing and kayaking, and, you know, he's, as much as we can, just a regular child. But it would be really nice to help him to learn that he has a second hand and that it can be useful to him, so that's why we're here. Thomas was born 5 weeks prematurely by emergency C-section, and spent the first week or so in intensive care. We were allowed home after about 3 weeks, so he was born at 1.9 kilos, and in Switzerland, when they're born under 2 kilos, they do a brain ultrasound as standard. They said there was asymmetry then. Thomas is my second child. He has an older brother who's 3.5, so there's 20 months between them again. And I just felt that something wasn't quite right with Thomas. Even though he was a preemie, I thought there was something else. We eventually got referred and had a MRI done in the April time, and that showed quite a lot of brain damage on the right-hand side of the brain, so he has a left-hand side hemi.
At rest, Thomas's hand and arm are relaxed by his side, and he doesn't engage it in any activity or play that he might be doing, even when he's prompted. When Thomas is trying to do something or very excited, his tone goes up in his left side, his hand becomes fisted, his wrist is in flexion, and his thumb is stuck in adduction. He has reduced muscle strength and a range of movement throughout his upper limb and has no control over grasp and release. He's unable to grasp any toys, but is able to hold on to them because of his high tone, but then unable to release them unless they're pulled out of his hand. Back in Switzerland, Thomas has weekly physiotherapy and OT sessions, but has never tried anything like CIMT before.
I read The Brain That Changes Itself by Norman Dodidge. Excellent book, and it referenced in there CIMT in one of the chapters and so on. It just made understanding about the brain a bit more accessible to me. And it was posted, the book was posted on the HemiHelp website. And having read that, I did some research into CIMT and found the only place local to me was in the UK and in Manchester, or the Liverpool clinics. So made a phone call and arranged to do a Skype interview with Thomas, and then followed up by coming to visit. So we have a 3-week session.
Following a 3-week CIMT programme, we're hoping for Thomas to increase his awareness of his left side and engage his left arm and hand in daily activities. Thomas has been casted for the first time today, a cast which will stay on for the next 3 weeks, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The purpose of the cast is to allow Thomas to focus on his left side entirely during the duration of the programme without distracting him.
Whilst you're eating it, a nice biscuit. Yeah?
Even though he was a bit apprehensive about the cast at first, he adapted to it very quickly, and since then we've been having lots of fun and playing with lots of different toys.
So should we change them? Should we go this one, this one, this one? Oh, good. You want bang? Again? You do it. Down. Okay. Thank you, Thomas. Very helpful. Can you help me put the lid on? Push. Push this bit down. Go. Ah. The other side. Push down. Ah. Thank you.
We are now halfway through Thomas's CIMT programme. So far, the most noticeable change is how willing Thomas is to use his left hand in activities without having to be prompted anymore.
I have to say I'm quite surprised at some of the things he's now achieving. I didn't have high expectations before I came here because I didn't know what was possible and what to expect. I've seen him, particularly in the last couple of days, really make some progress with a couple of the games that they've been doing with him yesterday and today. He's just shown a lot more coordination and awareness and determination to use his hand. In like the home and when we've been out and about and so on, he's putting his hand to his ear to scratch his ear or scratch his nose and so on, which is, he's never used that hand voluntarily before. He is certainly slightly more aware of his hand now, and even if it's just laying down those neuro pathways or whatever it is that's going on there, I think it gives us a starting point then to go away and build from. I am fascinated to see what happens by the time Thomas leaves here and they take the cast off for the last time, and whether he then does revert very strongly back again or whether he stays more aware of his helping hand. That's when my responsibility and our responsibility really kicks in then, is to continue the practice and learning from here into the home environment and doing even more work with him.
So we are now on Thomas's last day of his 3-week CIMT programme, and he's come a long way since day one. He is now able to spontaneously use his left hand in activities without his parents or the therapist having to prompt him to do so. Thomas has improved his reaching, and even though he still requires some assistance with grasping certain objects, his release has improved. He's showing a more positive attitude towards his left side and engages it in more play and activities. Thomas seems to have really enjoyed the past 3 weeks here at CIMT, and hopefully with his newly learned skills, he'll be able to use his left hand more when he goes home and keep progressing.
I didn't know what my expectations were, and I didn't know how this thing really worked. I just knew that it was something I had to try. We're reading books at night time and so on, and trying to get him to turn pages, playing with toys during the day, and even at night time now, cleaning his teeth and trying to get him to hold the toothbrush and to grasp it. You can put his hand around the toothbrush and trying to teach him to clean his teeth with his helping hand and so on, and I would never have been able to do that before. By putting that arm in a cast, it means he doesn't need to think about it, and therefore is focusing on his other hand, and I really do think that's making a difference. It's such an emotional roller coaster. I mean, last week was really tough. It's emotionally quite draining because you need to be on the ball and you engage in the sessions as well. But it's also very rewarding, and it's also fun. So, for me, it's been a great opportunity to spend some very intensive but good time with Thomas. And I think I've seen him develop an awful lot in many areas, not just with his hand. It gives us a starting point then to go away and build from.